Hi, I'm Laura Lopez.
Hi, I'm Morgan Lovelace, and we are Sleuths of Social Insight. Today we will be presenting on the impact of visual media on youth behavior and perception. What is visual media?
Visual media means anything you watch, like TV shows, movies, or online videos. It's content built around images, motion, or graphics rather than just text.
Think of TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube, and even video games. Basically, if it's something you see and not just read, it's visual media.
Visual media is everywhere. Kids and teens spend several hours a day watching videos or playing games. Because it shows idealized versions of friendships, romance, and conflict, it heavily influences how young people behave and what they value.
Short-form platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels force constant switching of focus, which can hurt your ability to concentrate and process information.
My research question is, how does visual media targeted to the youth contribute to social influence and social conformity? To measure this, I define social influence as the tendency to follow trends seen on platforms like TikTok or Instagram and in other forms of visual media. In the survey, participants were asked how often they adapted trends they see in media and their motivation for following current trends seen in visual media. This helped us turn the concept of conformity into something measurable.
My research question is, how does visual media marketed to children influence their cognitive development, particularly in areas such as attention, language acquisition, problem solving, and executive functions? To measure cognitive development, I focused on attention and executive functioning. The survey included questions like, how easy is it for you to stay focused during tasks like homework? And has your ability to concentrate declined with more short form video use? These questions allowed us to assess real-life attention skills in relation to media use.
My hypothesis is that young people who consume short form content will report higher intention to imitate behaviors or follow trends due to the perceived expectation of social acceptance than those who spend less time on short form content.
I tested whether people who watch more fast-paced visual media like TikTok or YouTube Shorts have a harder time focusing and staying attentive than those who watch less.
What research says adolescents seek social validation from others because it relieves their fear of being different, thus promoting conformity. Social media use contributes to problems with youth because they are preoccupied with being excluded. Because short form media use is prevailing, it is important to understand in what ways media influences adolescents.
So what the research says, a 2023 study found that increased screen time, especially on social media, was linked to rising ADHD-like symptoms in teens, with lasting effects into the next year. Since platforms like TikTok and Reels deliver fast-paced visual content, this raises concerns about long-term attention and impulse control. A 2024 EEG study supports this finding, showing that frequent short-form video use is linked to reduced brain activity related to focus and self-regulation.
We collected data from 58 participants, primarily college students at Long Beach City College. Students took the survey on Google Forms.
The survey consisted of a pre-questionnaire that covered demographic questions like age and race. To reach participants, we emailed LBCC professors and asked them to distribute our Google Forms survey to their students. We also shared the survey link online with other students. Participation was anonymous and voluntary, and all participants provided informed consent at the start of the survey through a consent form.
After providing informed consent, participants answered 41 questions that included numerical, scale, and multiple choice questions.
This is a quantitative research study, meaning that we focused on measurable data using numerical data and statistical analysis to identify patterns.
We conducted quantitative analysis using SPSS software, which included descriptive analysis, means and percentages, correlation tests, for example, Pearson's R, to fully examine our data and visuals like scatter plots, pie charts, histograms, and bar graphs to display findings.
In addition, we use the LBCC library database to find research articles and previous studies related to our topic.
We had three survey sections that each addressed our subtopics. In this bar graph, we see whether people who score high on feeling FOMO, which is fear of missing out, when consuming media and how that affects their motivation to follow trends. Fear sh Results show that people who feel more FOMO tend to follow trends based on extrinsic motivation or tend to follow trends subconsciously. People who do not feel as much FOMO tend to not follow trends. In this scatter plot, we test whether there is a correlation between short-form content consumption and trend following behavior. Results show that there is a positive correlation between these two variables, meaning that more short-form content consumption is correlated to more trend following behavior. This histogram shows responses to the question, how often do you notice new trends or behaviors in media that become popular among your age group? The distribution is right skewed, meaning most participants notice trends becoming popular. According to the collected data from the survey, there appears to be a correlation between short-form media consumption and trend following behavior. Although it is important to note that correlation does not imply causation, the results of this study and trend following may be caused by other factors that a survey cannot account for.
This scatter plot shows a relationship between how many hours per day participants spend on short form media and how well they can focus. As media use goes up, focus ability goes down, which you can see from the downward trend line. The regression equation is y equals 3.23 minus 0.14x, and the r squared value is 0.112, meaning that about 11% of the change in focus can be explained by media use. So this histogram shows how many hours participants spend watching short form content each day. The average was about 3.7 hours, with most people falling between 2 and 4 hours. A few outliers watched up to 15 hours, which creates a slight right skew. This confirms that short form media use is a regular and significant part of daily life for many students. So this table is a Pearson correlation of negative 0.335 between short-form media use and ability to focus with a p-value of 0.010. That means the relationship is statistically significant. More time spent on platforms with access to short-form visual media like TikTok is associated with lower attention and focus.
In conclusion, our findings highlight the growing role of short-form visual media in students' daily lives. Most participants reported watching 2 to 5 hours of this content daily, showing that it's a regular part of their routine.
We found a significant negative correlation between media use and focus, meaning that the more short-form media participants watched, the more likely they were to report difficulty concentrating.
Additionally, there was a positive correlation between short-form media use and trend following behavior, suggesting that increased exposure to these platforms may also influence social behavior.
Looking ahead, future research should use qualitative methods to deeply investigate how visual media impacts adolescents.
The study has limitations. The sample wasn't large enough to represent the broader population, and results may be affected by self-report and sampling bias. Additionally, due to its quantitative nature, this research relies on Surface level survey data, which is often detached from real world behavior.
Here are our references.
Thanks for watching.